Welcome to another episode of Joe Don't Know. I heard this quote that said that the entrepreneur is brilliantly lazy. And it really struck me because I've always felt that I was very lazy, but in some ways the least lazy person on earth. And I could never really reconcile the two to articulate it in a way that made me feel comfortable. But this quote does, because it says that you're so lazy that you try to find better ways to do things. And in your pursuit of finding better ways to do things, you have to work really hard in order to do that. When I think of like somebody working on a new scientific discovery, I think that they're laboring in a lab for long hours and putting in really virtuous work, stuff that other people aren't willing to do. And the big payoff at the end is they make some discovery, right? So let's say that that discovery is some exponential growth of efficiency in some new process. Well, what if their underlying motivation to discover the new efficient process was that they were sick of putting in a ton of work in the old process? So you could say that that is an element of laziness because they don't want to put in all that ton of work in the old process. So they go out to find a new process, but it's just funny in that like they're lazy. They don't want to do the old process. So they work and work and work and work and work to find a new process. It's like their laziness causes them to work really hard. And that is kind of what I've always sensed about myself, which is that I want to be lazy in my life, but in order to achieve that goal, I have to work really hard to get there. So it's funny that you end up not being lazy because of your strong desire to be lazy. And I think maybe the other element is like a little bit of courage sprinkled in there. Like if you are courageous enough to follow your dream of wanting to be lazy, then you end up being somebody who's very hardworking. Now, what does that mean in terms of your hardworkingness? Does it mean that because it's motivated by laziness, are you not really a hard worker? I would say yes. I would say at your core, at your heart of everything, you want things done in an efficient manner that requires the least amount of work as possible. So in that way, like the entrepreneur working their butt off, putting in tons of hours is really like the laziest person among us. They just kind of have perhaps the courage or the fear to follow that laziness where it leads them. And it just so happens to lead them into an area of working very hard. So that's the quote that I heard. I always really liked that. My laziness has bled through in ways that I don't like to admit to people. Like I really do enjoy doing things like that anybody else does that I look down on and say they're lethargic. I just get to be self-righteous about it because I know that there are pockets where I work extremely hard every single day. Like the pockets exist every day. So that allows me to look down on people who maybe don't work hard every single day, but at our core, we're the same. So maybe that is where this element of fear or courage comes up, is that, at our core, we're the same in terms of wanting laziness, but where we differ is that I follow my courage or laziness. Sorry, I haven't had breakfast yet. Actually, all right, forget that. I follow my courage or fear into taking action towards finding that new process, right? So that's the fundamental difference. So maybe like when I look down on people that they're lazy, I shouldn't look down on them that they're lazy. I should look down on them that they don't have the fear or courage to follow their desire to be lazy. It's kind of like, when you're chasing a dream, you're actually chasing your dream to be lazy. Okay, so then we go into the next one, courage and fear. Well, which one is motivating me more to follow my dream of laziness? Because they're very, very different. If you're motivated by fear, it's much less of an admirable quality than if you're motivated by courage. Anybody would know that. But they're kind of indiscernible when you look at them. And it's like if your fear is so high, I guess your courage has to be high. No, the opposite. If your fear of never attaining your goal of laziness is so high that it motivates you to act, then it's not really a virtuous act, all of this. Man, that is really how I've felt for so long about my whole basketball career, which is that it's not rooted in something virtuous. So it's rooted in a fear that I won't be able to be as lazy as I want to be. Now, that is a very thin line of separation between I'm motivated by the courage to pursue my dreams, and that requires hard work. Like that sounds so much better. That is so much better, but it's so similar in terms of action to I'm so scared that I'll never be able to be lazy. Like they're so similar. And maybe some days it's one and some days it's another or the other because they're that similar. that it can like flip back and forth. I have had days where I felt like I'm so courageous, I can follow my dreams and chase them down because I can achieve them. And then 12 hours later, I'm doing a different workout, and it's for the purpose of, I'm so scared that someday I'll never have enough money to be able to be lazy and lethargic. Thin line between these two, the similarities between these two things means that I can kind of pass between them all the time. Anyways, who knows? Who knows? I don't know. That's why, I don't know. I do not know. But interesting thoughts anyways, worth pondering. Yeah.